In this question, we're going to solve this quadratic equation where we have x squared take away 5x plus 6 is equal to 0, and the method we're going to use is completing the square. So that means before I solve the equation, I'm just going to look at this x squared take away 5x plus 6 and complete the square on this quadratic. Then I'll be able to solve the equation. So to complete the square, I'll open my brackets. Because we have x squared here, I'll write back x here. Because this is a negative sign, I'll put the negative sign here. Then I'll take half the coefficient of x, so that'll be half of 5. So that'll be 5 over 2. Then I'll close brackets and put my square sign. Then I'll bring down this positive 6. Then I'll always take away whatever number I have here squared. So I'll be taking away 5 over 2 squared. And then I put it equal to 0. So when you have a fraction in brackets squared, I'm squaring both the numerator as well as the denominator. So 5 squared will give me 25 and 2 squared will give me 4. So I'll have 25 over 4 and this is equal to 0. So now I'll work out what is positive 6 take away 25 over 4. So I'll just work that across here. I'll put 6 over 1 take away 25 over 4. So I'll find the LCM, and the LCM between 1 and 4 would be 4. So now I'll say 1 into 4, we'll get 4, and we'll take that 4 and multiply it by this numerator, which is 6. So 6 times 4 is 24. Then I'll say 4 into 4, 1. Take that 1 and multiply it by the numerator, which is 25. 1 by 25 is 25. So 24 take away 25 is negative 1. So this will be equal to negative 1 over 4. So that means positive 6 take away 25 over 4 is equal to negative a quarter. So I'll be replacing this positive 6 take away 25 over 4 with this negative a quarter. So now I'll write my negative a quarter. Now that I've completed the square on the quadratic, now I can go about solving the equation. So the first thing I want to do is transfer this negative a quarter across the equal sign. So I'll have x take away 5 over 2 in brackets squared is equal to 0 plus a quarter. That's because we transfer this negative a quarter across the equal sign, and the sign in front of it will change from negative to positive. So this will just be x take away 5 over 2 in brackets squared is equal to a quarter. Now the next thing we want to do is get rid of the square sign. Therefore, we will be taking the plus or minus square root of a quarter. So we'll have x take away 5 over 2 is equal to plus or minus square root of a quarter. Now when you're taking the square root of a fraction, it means we are taking the square root of the numerator as well as the denominator. So the square root of 1 is 1, and the square root of 4 would be 2. So the square root of a quarter would be a half. So I'll have x take away 5 over 2 is equal to plus or minus a half. Now I'll transfer this negative 5 over 2 across the equal sign, and the sign in front of it will change from negative to positive. So I'll have x is equal to plus or minus a half plus 5 over 2. The preferred way to write this would be to put this positive 5 over 2 in front of the plus or minus a half. So I'll write x is equal to 5 over 2 plus or minus a half. So now we'll have either x is equal to 5 over 2 plus a half, or x is equal to 5 over 2 take away a half. So that's how we use the plus or minus sign. Either x is equal to 5 over 2 plus a half, or x is equal to 5 over 2 take away a half. So what I'll get is x is equal to 5 over 2 plus a half is equal to 6 over 2. That means x is equal to 3. And across here we have 5 over 2 take away a half. And that will be equal to 4 over 2. So we'll have x is equal to 2. So your answers would be either x is equal to positive 3 or x is equal to positive 2. In this question, we have to solve the quadratic equation 3x squared plus 18x plus 24 is equal to 0. And the method we are going to use is completing the square. So the first thing I'm going to do is complete the square on the quadratic. Now because I have a positive 3 in front of the x squared, I would factor out this positive 3. So I'll have 3, open brackets, and I'll divide 3x squared by 3 and get x squared. Then I'll divide positive 18x by 3 and get positive 6x. And I'll divide positive 24 by 3 and get positive 8. Then I'll close my brackets and put this equal to 0. Now seeing that I want to focus on this quadratic expression here, which is x squared plus 6x plus 8, I'll transfer this 3 across the equal sign. Now this is 3 multiplied by this in brackets here. So the operation between this 3 and the thing in brackets is multiplication. So when the 3 goes across the equal sign, the operation will change to division. So I'll have x squared plus 6x plus 8 is equal to 0 divided by 3. And any number with 0 as a numerator would be equal to 0. So I'll have x squared plus 6x plus 8 is equal to 0. Now I can complete the square on this quadratic expression. So the first thing I'll do is open brackets. And because we have x squared here, I'll write back x. Because the sign is positive, I'll put a positive sign. And then I'll take half the coefficient of x. So half of 6 is 3. Now I'll close my brackets and put a square sign. I'll bring down this positive 8. And I'm always going to take away this number squared. So I'll get take away 3 squared. And that'll be equal to 0. So now I'll work out the 3 squared, which is 9. So I'll get take away 9 here, equals 0. And 8 take away 9 is negative 1. So I'll write my negative 1 here. Put this equal to 0. Now that I've completed the square, I can transfer this negative 1 across the equal sign and will change to positive 1. So I'll have x plus 3 in brackets squared is equal to 0 plus 1. So I'll have x plus 3 in brackets squared is equal to positive 1. Now to get rid of this square sign, I'll take the plus or minus square root of this positive 1. So I'll have x plus 3 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 1. Now the square root of 1 is just 1. So what we'll get is x plus 3 is equal to plus or minus 1. So now I'll transfer this positive 3 across the equal sign. I will change to negative 3. So I'll have x is equal to plus or minus 1, take away 3. Now it looks better when you write the negative 3 in front of the plus or minus 1. So I'll write x is equal to negative 3 plus or minus 1. So now I'll say either x is equal to negative 3 plus 1 or x is equal to negative 3 take away 1. So looking at this equation first, we'll have x is equal to negative 3 plus 1, which is negative 2. And then looking at this equation, we'll have x is equal to negative 3 take away 1, which will give us negative 4. And that's your answers, either x is equal to negative 2 or x is equal to negative 4.